theme leaf and how we connect theme leaf with the Spring Boot application. So we can here we need a dependency first of all. Without Spring Boot dependency, we can't do anything. And if I open this website theymleaf.org, we'll get the documentation like what version is this and how we can access that. And in this tutorial, you can get everything. So today, what I want you to do is just read what is ThemeLeaf and how we interact with this ThemeLeaf with the application. The basic things I will tell, the remaining things you can work on it. And we'll have an explanation about this in the Monday session. Like I'll create a form, how to iterate, I'll explain. How to create the form, I'll explain. But like how we utilize this expression utility objects, expressions on selections. So we have few things like first we need to import this theme leaf doc type. Then there is star. Why we use star? And there is dollar. So there is three things we see frequently in the theme leaf. First, it will be at the rate flower brackets. This is for the redirection. Okay. Second, it will be dollar. This is for the data display. Or if you have a data variables, then we use this. For the data variables, you can see these things. And this is for the fields. In the application also, you will be seeing first of all these things. And first we can say, what is ThemeLeaf? ThemeLeaf is an open source Java library. And here it is a HTML5 and XHTML XML template engine. So what happens is that here, first thing, the goal of ThemeLeaf is to provide stylish, well-formed way of creating templates. If you take JSP, I am including the JSP tags, but I'm writing Java code, Java methods, right? Here, apart from using that, HTML is static content, right? How to make it dynamic? We can use ThemeLeaf also. So the XML tags define the execution of predefined logic on the document object model. So in JavaScript, you might have seen this document object model, right? Is it done?
Do you mean the DOM which we mentioned before writing the code, HTML code?
Yes, same thing like document object model. For the objects we use it and we manage those things. So only the thing is you can see inside this templates only the logic is there. Instead of writing explicitly in JSP, what we do, we write the logics explicitly, entire logic, but here we can iterate through the tags itself. That is the main advantage. So JSP is more or similar to HTML, but it is not completely compatible with HTML like ThemeLeaf. So here what we do, ThemeLeaf supports variable expressions. First, dollar. This is for what? If I have any data, then this data can be represented by with dollar flower brackets. And this we have already seen in the Spring expression language we can say. Okay. And here asterisk expression means what? This is for the fields in the input type of a form. For that, we can use this form. And here hash is for what? For internalization. Internalization means what? Any language like here I might be using English. In Germany, you won't get English, right? You should be having this German page. So whatever you execute, the output should be in the German format rather than in the English. So that also we can control by using this internalization concept. Okay. And what is at the rate is used for rewrite URLs. So we mostly use the dollar flower brackets, hashtag flower brackets, and the at the rate flower brackets. So next. So what does ThemeLeaf can process? 6 types of templates. What are those? XML, XHTML, HTML file. All these things are allowed inside the ThemeLeaf. That we have an advantage. Okay. And here it also allows us to process the HTML5 files with the features like standalone tags, tag attributes, without value, or written between the codes. So these are all HTML features. These are available. So how to access this? I said we need a Spring Boot starter theme leaf dependency in our application. Then only it can be accessed. Without that, the Spring Boot configures the template engine to read the template from its source. And templates means what? Here in the resource, I need to create a folder known as templates. It is meant by that. And by default, it will access the files from the template itself. Means previously I used to give the internal resource view resolver. That is not required here. We can avoid that. Okay. That is one more advantage with the theme leaf we can say. Because here internally directly the Spring Boot only configures the what we can say templates. Next. So here theme leaf implementation is similar like MVC we use, right? Model and the view template, whatever the theme leaf template is there, that template will be used. Like we use th of each, like for each loop, which will iterate from the fields. Like th of each will have. And this th will be doing what? This is a theme leaf accessing theme leaf and trying to write that particular code directly. Okay. And next thing, how to access this theme leaf in our HTML or the index. In the HTML tag, you have to just say xmlns colon th. So whatever the th we give here will be used in the coding. Which website is this? The themeleaf.org is the right? The same themeleaf.org. You can just copy this, paste it here. Instead of HTTPS, HTTP. Then close this particular thing. Now the tags can be used. The hashtag fields or the form action. For the action, what we do, just say form is there and we'll just say th action. Why th I'm using? Because I'm given th here. So whatever I give here, the same thing must be used here. So th of action, and I'll give at the rate flower brackets. Like if it is an employee, it'll be employee slash. If it is delete, I'll just say delete flower brackets. That's it. Okay. So this is one thing we can access. And input type text, there we'll use a th field actually. Like input type text, we have a th colon field. So previously we used to write name attribute, right? Instead of name, we'll be using this th colon field attribute. And here what we use asterisk and whatever the name you want to represent. So this is the variable names. To represent the names, we use this asterisk. If you want to represent the value, we can use directly the value. Like here, I have to display the value. In this, I want to iterate. So what I can do here is for th of each employee. Let's say this is an employee reference. And what is the object I retrieved from the database? Dollar flower brackets employee. This I'll get it from the controller, you can see, right? And this th cannot be written directly. We need a HTML tag to write it. So that is the row we created. And in this, how to display the value that td th of like colon text I want. What is the text? Flower bracket that employee dot name. That's it. Whatever the tag is there, that will be getting displayed. The value is will be there, that will be getting displayed. So this dollar for the values, to display the values. At the rate for the URLs, asterisk for the fields. Understood? Any doubts in this thing? So you can just see each and that text. How to use it? XMLNSTH. So in template files, there are theme leaf markers, which are instructions helping theme leaf engine process data. Means in this Spring MVC projects, if I create, so here I have to create a templates folder. If you create templates folder, that will be done because here it's saying that templates folder will be accessed. In this HTML files you can write. So if you remember the Spring MVC application, we used internal resource view resolver. Can anyone explain why we have used that? What are the parameters we have in the internal resource view resolver and what is the purpose we use? Is the question clear?
Yes, Rob.
So why we use internal resource view resolver?
I don't remember it exactly, but for the JVM to know from which folder the pages need to be accessed.
Not JVM. JVM doesn't execute the Spring MVC application. Who executes the Spring MVC application?
The the servlet dispatcher, or the
Dispatch servlet. Dispatcher servlet, not servlet's dispatcher. Dispatcher servlet will be the front controller which executes, and here it gives the prefix and suffix properties will be there. Prefix where the file location is. Suffix what is the extension of the file. Because in the code will be returning the value, that's it. So once I return the value, how we access it, the extension, for that extension only we use this internal resource view resolver. The extension can be anything, HTML or the particular .jsp. For that reason only we use.
I think we use the internal resolver. It does enable us to render models in the browser without typing the implementation to a specific view technology.
Yes, that's the same. Like without specifying the extension, which extension we specified the name, and it will render that particular page. You guys are coding, but you are not able to explain properly. Because in the interviews, we need explanation, not the coding part, right? First, when you go to the job, in the job, the skills are sufficient because now whatever you're able to do, you can survive now in the projects. Because apart from this, file uploading will be there or images will be managed. What you see in the websites like searching, basic registration, login, profile management, update, these things are there. Joins you have to do. If you do the joins, order by queries, if you write, so most of the things will be common. But the structure creation and how this API calls are done, that also will help you. But main thing is while attending the interview, how you explain the definitions and the answers, right? And you all are like concentrating on the coding itself, but not parallelly working on the definitions also. Because I am not giving any textbook kind of a definition, right? We are not into college and not giving any textbook kind of definition. You have to first read the topic. After completion of the topic, make sure you search in the Google and what is the practical definitions, understand that and keep it a particular notes. Prepare the interview questions like that. It will help you out. From now onwards also daily concentrate on both the things, practical and the theoretical. Make sure you follow that. So how the Spring MVC workflow works, everything is done by the front controller and the dispatcher servlet. A client is there, client will interact with the dispatcher servlet, that will be the front controller, will have one more XML or the servlet XML and the internal resource view resolver. Then we'll have the controllers, multiple controllers, from controllers to the repository, right? So these things are there, like we have a client, dispatcher servlet, front controller, servlet.xml, internal resource view resolver. So these are all required for the MVC. So MVC is doing what? We are having these things. We are depending upon these things. So what Spring Boot is doing, it's eliminating these things. Directly, we interact with the controller itself. So Spring Boot main application will go to the controller. Okay. From controller, we'll go to the service. From service to repository. Without service also you can write. It's a like simple flow, and this flow will be similar. Let's say I have a client who is interacting with the controller. Controller interacts with the service. Service will interact with the repository, and service also interacts with the model. And these two can also interact with the database. This is the main feature here actually of controller. I can write a service, or without the service also we can write the repository. So I'll do it with repository, you do it with the service. Just already we have seen the Spring Boot data JPA, right? Interface and the service separately, the same thing. And model will be there. Here database. The flow will be simple. From controller, it will go to the service, service to the repository, and service can access the model, and these two can access the database. And the flow is both ways, not only single, both the ways we can have the flow. Next, what dependency is required? We have Spring Boot starter parent and starter web, JDBC if you want, or the Spring Boot starter theme leaf, Spring Boot starter JD, JPA you can say, data JPA. These dependencies are required in Spring Boot starter test. So let's create an application. A book application is there, right? So I'll create a Spring Boot book application. Maven, create a simple project. So previously archetype was required, external embedded server is required. All those things are removed now. And what we can do, com dot submit works. I'll just have a Spring Boot book application.
I have one
So
question before that. I'm sorry, I interrupted
yes,
you. Yeah.
no, continue.
Can we use the JDBC in the Hibernate for one application?
You want to use JDBC for Hibernate,
Yeah.
like Spring JDBC are saying, or what?
No. I think we use one of them, but can we
Yes,
use both of them? JDBC
yes, we
in the
can use. Yeah,
Hibernate
we can
also?
use both of them. Yes. See, in some projects we might have both.
Okay.
Like some part of the modules require JDBC, we use JDBC. Some part of the modules require Hibernate, we use Hibernate. Data JPA if you want, data JPA.
Okay.
My bad is also. So it depends, like it's not like one framework. That is the advantage of these frameworks. These can integrate with anything. So there is no restriction like one framework can interact with only Hibernate, not with the MyBat is. It's not like that. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what we need, we already have this Spring Boot basic pom.xml, right? Remember in the resources, you need to create the templates, the templates folder. I have data JPA, connector, JDBC, everything. So I'll just copy the same thing in the Spring Boot book application, pom.xml. Now, theme leaf is required and the test is required. Spring Boot. Which version I'll use? I'll use the same version as the Java 2.3.1. Don't use Spring Boot 3 yet because in the projects they are still using Spring Boot 2 itself. Right, next Spring Boot starter test. You can check all the dependencies has been imported or not. So these many dependencies. Previously, what happened? We used to do this manually. Previously, all these jar files. Okay, so after getting the Spring Boot, it's very easy now because it bundles all the jar files required for the modules in a single dependency, and we can get them directly. And you need to check the compiler. See, make sure you have this 1.8. So installed JRS. I'll be using 1.8. So instead of this, just give me a sec. Check the versions, it's better, okay? Yeah, it's using 1.8 itself, right? I'm just not changing this. Now, next thing, after this, usually I need to create a book. What are the book parameters? For that, I need to create a Java file. So let's say MySQL. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, I'll be back. Just 2 minutes. Sorry for that. So where are we? This use submit works. So I'll do the book, add book and view book, similar to Spring MVC. You implement the register, login, update, delete, and the sessions also. Okay. So describe book. How many fields are there? One, two, three, four, five. Book name, price, author, publisher. For these four things, what we require, we need to give the variable column or five values, you can say. So let's do this thing. I'll do one thing. Create a class dot submit works. What we have a book application now. So here it will be at the rate entity, at the rate table, book table. Already we have entity, right? JavaX dot persistence. And what we have is private int id at the rate id at the rate column. So the ID will be SID, week ID or book ID, BID. And what is the next thing you can say? Private string book name, price, author, publisher. The same columns like here will have book name, price, book author, source, generate getter and setter methods, select all, click on generate. So now we got that first thing, the Pojo class, which has this annotations, right? And I'll be doing in the same package. You do it in the separate. In the resources, I need to create a file known as what? Application.properties. So is it fine if I copy paste because this will be similar, right? The resources, what we have, application.properties, both will be similar. Submit works, root, update, existing table, MySQL dialect. So I'm just copy pasting it. I'm not typing it again. Okay. And next, what is the next thing? I need to create templates. A folder named as templates. Here I can create index.html first of all. Other HTML. What we have index.html. Finish. Already I have index.html here, right? I'll just take the same. So index.html, copy the same and I'll paste it here. But here redirecting will be different, right? How to redirect now? I just have to use at the rate or slash I can use. If I don't want to use at the rate, directly I can use slash. Let's say I want to use, what is this book model, right? I'll give a book mapping URL for the entire class. Then I'll say add book. Add book. There will be one more thing known as book slash view book. Two URLs are there now. View. So I'm not using any theme leaf here. Direct URLs will be sufficient, right? Now, what I need to create the form. How to create the form after index? I need to write this add book. So without that add book, I cannot get this thing. So I'll just create a right click, new, other HTML file, say add book dot HTML. So what happens in this add book? First thing, the HTML, I need to create this XMLNS colon TH. What is that? HTTP colon? We already seen that www.theymleaf is the correct spelling correct theymleaf? Any mistake? No, I guess right. Yeah. If there is a mistake, it won't come. That's the reason. HTML BG color and what is that color? You can say wheat. Some break I'll give, and after that h1 tag align equals to center. Welcome to like book application. Or else in the index already it's there, right? Whatever I have created, the same things like h1 is there. I'll use the same copy, paste it here. Now again break and create a form now. What is the form looks like? It's must use this th colon action, not the other way around. Okay, at the rate is required for the URLs. Again, the same book is a main URL. In that, what I want to do, I want to execute this adding a book. For that, I'll use this add. And what is the method attribute you can take? Method attribute will be post. If you remember previously in the controller, I'll create an object and send it to this HTML. Usually, if I access this add book, when I click on this link, it will go to the controller. So I'll create a controller now. So according to the flow, you'll understand. Let's say I have a class. What is that? Book controller. How can you say this as a controller class? I'll have at the rate controller. So again, for the REST API, we'll use @REST controller. So we'll see what is the difference between those two. Okay. So the first thing what we need to understand, I'm not writing any repository and all, just the controller, and the main request mapping will be what? The main request mapping will be slash book. This will be the main thing. And previously we used to do request mapping only, right? Here in Spring Boot we can also use @get mapping, @post mapping. Okay. So if you have a method attribute as post, we can directly use @post mapping and send the details. So if I want to add, and here the method attribute what I have used in the method, let's say index.add_book.html, I use this method as post. So what I'll use at the controller, I'll write @post mapping at that moment. If I'm not using anything, you can use @get mapping. By default, it will be @get mapping itself. So simply public string. What I want to do, I want to just show that book, add book, right? For book form. So I'll just say book form. How I'll go to that particular thing once I have @get mapping. What is that? Slash add book. Remember this already we know. And what is required here? Here I need to return what I want to return. Return that particular add book. That's it. Is it HTML or not? We can just see it. Next, in this, you need to remember that we use @model attribute. The same thing here also I'm using directly @model attribute so that an object will be created. What is that object? Book object. How we are creating? Book space book reference. In this way, we are creating the object and then sending it to that particular form. So previously we used to write it separately like add attribute, right? Now I am doing directly in the parameter itself. So this add book, what it will do? It will go to this add book.html because in the controller I'm sending it. So I'm sending a book object, right? So this book object, I need to write it here. I need to access that object here. How to access that object in the HTML? This is important because here I'll just say an attribute known as object itself. And what is that object? It's a value. So I'll use dollar. Whenever it's a value, we'll use dollar rather than the @ or the asterisk. Asterisk is for the fields. Understood. Here the main point will be that I created a book reference object and added it to the model attribute. So at the book add book, it will go and represent that same object here. Next, what we can do, we can use this input type text. What is the field name? th:\field. That field will be asterisk flower bracket that particular book name. This will be the field directly. So if you want, you can have the placeholder also, like placeholder. What is the placeholder? Enter book name, you can just say. The same way I'll have for the price. Book price. So author will be there, publisher will be there. Next. Now the next thing will be the submit button. So input type submit, you can say. What is that value? Add book. So this we created. So only the thing is I'm replacing the JSP with the theme leaf here. Remaining all are same. The book controller giving the object, getting it to this here, and whatever the values I enter in the field again goes to this object itself. This object will be given back to the controller itself. That is one more thing. Okay. So if I want to add that, add book. But before this, I need to write a repository and a service. Service you can write. I'll only show with the repository. It'll be easier and faster. I'll create a repository. So once a book repository has been created, what we need to write here? Book repository is a class or interface? We use interface for the JP or the class? It will be like right click, say new. I need to create an interface because I will be using a JP, right? So book repository. What is required? It's an interface which extends another interface known as JPA repository. That is the book comma integer. Now, how can you say this as a repository? At the rate repository. Without this, the class path scanning cannot, like Spring application that run, cannot access this class. If you want to have for the update, you can have it, but I will be using only the insert and view, right? So no update is required. How to create object for that? How to create object for the repository? What annotation we use? At the rate. What is that?
The wire.
Yes, auto wide. Remember, this will be for object creation itself. It doesn't change every time. So book repository private, book repository, get that auto wide. That will be done. Okay. So once it's done, you can see all the files have been removed. We don't have the front controller. We don't have Spring util. We just write application.properties. Number of files are getting reduced from everything like servlets, JSP, again this Spring MVC. From Spring MVC, the configuration files are removed only. The logic is everything same. We have seen at the rate model attribute, request mapping, controller. These are all in the Spring MVC. So it's not any new thing, just some minute updates you can say. And here in the book, add book, what I have done, I've used add URL. So where I have to go, this will be the base URL. Wherever you go, it will go to that book and come. In this public string, what I want to do, I want to create a book known as add book. At the rate model attribute will be there. Without this, we cannot access the objects, right? So what is that at the rate model attribute? That book object, whatever is there, we get it, book reference, and the model M. So this model will be accessed. Next, what is the URL we need to give? At the rate post mapping, because I have used method as post. At the rate post mapping. And what is the URL? Add. Import it. And what is the next thing you can say? Just like br dot save. What I'm trying to save? The book object. So retrieving everything has been done. Where I want to redirect, I want it to redirect it to the let's say to the same URL, like redirect it to. If you want to redirect to the same controller, just say view data. I'll create another thing known as view data, because what happens, I want to redirect, I can redirect it to the view data. So let's create another string, show book or view book, you can say, anything is up to us. And what is that? Model M. What is that parameter? At the rate get mapping, we are getting the values, right? View data. What I want to do, this M dot add attribute. I have to add a book object. From where I can find this? Br dot, what is find all the books I can get it in a list format. So list of book objects, I am sending it to this book reference. That's it. So all the values are in the list of book object in this book reference, and return it to the view book HTML. So I need to create a view book HTML, right? So simply getting the values is easier now. Other HTML, I'll just say view book. Is it? Yeah, view book dot HTML. So how the view book works? The same thing as index. I'll just copy paste it here, and instead of having like I'll create a table now, because without table we cannot access. Border equals to 2, width equals to some 300, height equals to cell padding. What is the table? TR in the TD will be there. What are the TDs will be there? Book ID, book name, book price, book author, book publisher. There will be one more TR, right? Here I'll write this theme leaf TH colon each. This is like for each loop. Only the for each loop directly the book object, whatever the reference is there, the dollar book. I'll get this. I'll create a TD now. So in this TD, TH of text is required. And what I can do, dollar of book dot BID. Get this part done directly. Book name. Book price. Book author. Book publisher. So TH is not recognizable because I didn't import this TH, right? What I have to do, XMLNS colon TH equals to, what is that? HTTP colon www.theymleaf.org. Now you can see there is no warning. The TH is being recognized directly, right? So you can see that add view, add book also is having the same thing or not. Yes, everything is fine. So configuration is done by a Spring Boot more rather than we doing everything. Only I have written this controller and repository. You can write a service also. Here instead of this, we can write a service also. Let's run this thing. So I need to create a main application, right? Because without that we cannot run this entire thing. We need a main class. Right click, say class Spring Boot book public static void main. How can you say this as? I'll just say at the rate Spring Boot application. So auto configuration, enable auto configuration will be available in this thing directly. And I'll just say Spring application dot run the class like Spring Boot book dot class. Embedded server will be there. Application dot properties you can say MySQL dialect update means existing table. Everything is there. Let's run this part. What is that 8080 port it will occupy? So open the browser. It won't execute that file because I need to run this thing. You can see I can add a book. What is that book name? You can just say it will be AWS, suppose. Some price. Cloud is the author. Publish Amazon. You can add this thing. So add view will be similar. Okay. View book is not there. So what I'll do is I'll have to change in this. It must be view data, not book, because I have to. When I click on view data, it will come, not view book. First, let's go to the index. Yeah, everywhere it's view book only. You need to just change it. URL. It's view data. So I'll just clear the history. Still, it's view book actually. It should not be view book. I'll stop the server and run again. But mostly the similar thing is just you need to change everywhere as view data, not book. Because the URL what I gave is view data, not book. The controller also, I'm redirecting it to view data. View data will come to the view book. Okay. So directly I'll go to run this thing. View page source. Now it's view data. So if I click on this, it'll display all the details. And you need to do the update and delete also, right? Understood.
I understand.
Yeah, it's a similar thing. Like now you have to write for the update, delete, register, login, and the remaining parts. And it's easier compared with all the previous applications. If you see here service, one more class will come. In the service class, you can call the methods, and the service object you can create in the controller, and the service method you can call here rather than calling the repository, like creating the repository object directly. That also you can do. So if you understand what I'm speaking, implement that